Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lisa Altman. I'm the Education Program Coordinator for Data Science. And I want to welcome you all for coming this morning. We're here to talk about what I did on my summer internship. And we have a group of speakers. We have panelists, some of our own students who are going to share a little bit about their summer internship. Trying to advance to the next slide here. Okay, so like I said, I am Lisa Altman. I'm the Education Program Coordinator. There's my contact information. And if you see me on campus, this is how you might see me over the next few months. I'm going to try to come to campus on Thursdays. But most of the time, the best way to reach me is via email and schedule a meeting with me on Zoom if you want to talk about anything. I reached out to some of our, some other students in our program, and these were the questions that I gave to them. I want them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves and what they're involved in here at Rochester. And mostly what I want them to talk about is how they got their internship, the kinds of things that they did on their internship, things that they learned as part of their internship, and other tips and advice that they'd like to share. So I'm going to have each of our panelists go for a few minutes, and then at the end we're going to have Q&A session. So you're welcome to type in a question at any time in the Q&A section. If it's for a specific person, let us know. If it's for the general panel, let us know. We have two master's candidates, Surya and Pravanshi, who will speak about their internships, and three seniors, Luke, Anandini, and Royu. And let's see. So first, I'm going to go ahead, and I'd like to invite Surya to turn on his camera and to tell us a little bit more about his summer.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Hey, hello everybody. Good morning. My name is Surya Iyer. I'm currently a graduate student at the Data Science department, and I'll be graduating this December. My concentration is in statistical and computational methods. My current areas of focus are in reinforcement learning, machine learning, and computer vision. This summer, I did my internship at WW International. It's a wellness-based company based in New York. I got this internship via job search using job boards like LinkedIn and Indeed. I had 2 interviews for the job. One of it is a technical interview, and the other one was a HR round. So my major tasks in the internship, it was eight-week internship, and it was completely virtual. One of my major tasks was to improve one of the existing models, which was predicting whether the user will unsubscribe in the next month. So the entire process involved gathering data, doing feature engineering, performing exploratory data analysis to remove features and to see which features are impactful to the model. And then, of course, the modeling process, which was in XGBoost. So it was iterative post process with which I did hyperparameter tuning, and also one of the things which I had done was feature pruning. The overall process was iterative. The next step was to deploy the model, which is a very novel experience. I did not expect to get a chance to deploy the model into a production in Google Kubernetes. So I think that was something really good opportunity for me. And also, apart from my project, I was working on improving the existing data flow network of the company. So it's called Primrose. I advise all of you to have a look at it. It's open source package in Python. It helps in reusing the code a lot, and it saves a lot of time. Apart from my projects, I got to meet with my team members. They're all senior members who have over 10 years experience in the field. So I used to have a weekly chat with all of them. They gave me a lot of insights on what projects they're working on, what type of personal projects you're working on. Also, one of the things which was really good about the team was every 3 weeks we had a journal club where we should discuss the upcoming papers, and I learned a lot from it. I also got to know a lot of best practices while solving data science problems from them, as they have a lot of experience in the field. Regarding finding internships, I know it's a very tedious process, but the most important thing is like you need to keep networking and keep trying. I know you may not get a lot of responses, but it's important to keep trying. Apart from that, I think I advise you to review your resume from the career center. They are really helpful, and that really helps in putting out good resumes to the job postings. Lisa also puts in a lot of opportunities by mail. I think those are really helpful. And in case you have any connections with people who are already currently in industry, it would be really helpful if you could get referrals or such. Networking is one thing which you'll learn throughout the process, job search process. It's really good for finding jobs in the future. Please feel free to reach out to me for any questions at any point of time. Good luck and stay safe. That's it from me.
Okay. Let's move on to Purvanshi.
Hey, shall I directly start?
Yes, go ahead. And
okay.
Amazon this summer.
Yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Purvanshi. I'm a second year master's student in the data science department. In this summer, I was working at Amazon, Alexa AI, as an applied AI scientist. What I did was my position was more research oriented rather than bringing something into production or working directly on their current systems. And to be specific, I worked on an extension of what could Alexa be doing in the next 2 years. So we now have a paper that would be submitting through that work that we did. How I got this internship was, again, through networking. I feel applying online is a waste of time. And you just have to reach out to as many people as you can on LinkedIn and any other way possible. Like I even reached out to some of my seniors through Facebook whom I knew. So you have to basically use all your resources that you can. One way to get like more replies from LinkedIn that I have learned is you can form some common ground. It's really great if you have something in common. For example, if someone is you are a graduate, then you can just mention that I'm currently in this UR program. And if you guys, for example, had a common advisor, then maybe you can mention his name to just grab his attention, because like they receive like hundreds of such messages every day. So for this particular internship, I got a referral from someone who is a research manager and is a UFR graduate. And he is a graduate from the same lab that I was a part of reading group of. And so I mentioned him this common point that I'm working in this lab and I saw your profile and I like the work you did. So yeah, that helped me get a referral. Another thing is someone who applies for your referral, his position matters. So at least at Amazon, I know that for example, if a SDE gives you a referral and if a manager gives you a referral, then you're more likely to receive an interview if someone at the higher position is referring you. So you should reach out to more and more people with higher positions or who have spent like 4 or 5 years at the company. I think because that makes them more reliable. Another thing was what I learned on my internship is more about how research works in the industry. So, and how complicated the process gets when you have to publish things and you have to bring something open source and not just keep it within the company. So I think that is the first thing I learned. I also learned a lot about graph neural networks and in natural language processing domain, because this was what my project was about. So it was fun doing that. Also, I had very good machines. So if someone is interested in deep learning and stuff, I had a machine of like 4,000 GB RAM, and I did not even have to fight for it. So in industry, resources is never a problem, I felt, which is often there in like academia. Like you have to wait in a queue for running your code, or using GPUs or something like that. Yeah, I think that's it. Did I miss something, Lisa?
One thing that I wanted to ask that I think would be good for people to address is, you know, what was your experience? Were you working remotely during your internship? And, you know, was it more difficult to do your work by working remotely? You know, was there a lot more difficulty in communication and things like that?
Yeah. So for me, I think it would have been better if it was like there, like on site, just because of networking purposes. But otherwise, I felt I'm more comfortable. Like I have the flexibility of hours. I have the less time gets wasted in traveling. Even during the office, I felt more productive when the time I'm working, because I'm not like talking to people or going on a coffee with someone. Or, you know, when you go for lunch, you socialize with people. So I felt I could get more things done. But obviously it was an internship, and the whole point of an internship is you get the experience, which I think people working remotely this year couldn't. But yeah, I think it's very personal, and sometimes it also boosts your productivity. That would be my take.
Thanks, Purvanchi.
Sure.
Okay. I think we're gonna move next to Luke.
Hello, my name is Luke now. I'm in the class of 2021, and I'm studying data science and business. And my application area is economics and business. But outside of what I study, I'm also a student assistant for the data science department. And I'm also a TA for Comp Sci 171 and Data Science 275. But this summer I interned at Cadent, which is a TV and media which is in the TV and media advertising field. I ended up getting an internship at Cadent in the spring after connecting with someone who works there. So they essentially referred me to their talent acquisition team, where I completed a few technical assessments and interviews, and ultimately got an offer there for full-time remote work. So my internship was entirely virtual. The company is based in New York City, but I completed it all from here in Rochester. And I actually worked on the advanced TV sales team. So advanced TV advertising essentially applies to their more data-driven products, like something they call addressable, which they can use to target specific households with advertisements, as in addition to what's also called OTT, which stands for over the top, which Cadent can use to deliver cross-platform advertisements through essentially any device that you can stream on. And while I was working there, because it was remote, I would have daily and weekly video meetings with my manager and my team. And I'd also have weekly meetings where I'd meet with other employees at the company to learn more about what each team does across the company, so that each of the interns could kind of get a better idea where they might want to end up post-grad. And I also sat in on a few client calls with my manager and the account executives. But outside of that, my main long-term project there was, so essentially the interns were broken into two teams, and we had a summer-long challenge where we had to put together not a real plan, but a theoretical media plan for Anheuser-Busch, their new Bud Light Seltzer campaign. And we had to create a pitch, a 15 to 20-minute pitch that we presented at the end of the summer to the executive committee at Cadent. But outside of that, 3 things I learned, I guess, don't be afraid to reach out and to make a new connection or ask to meet with someone, especially now. Everyone's used to doing video calls and meeting virtually, so now's a good time to ask people if they'd be willing to have a Zoom meeting and ask them questions, get to know what they do, and just try to grow your network. Other than that, don't be afraid to ask questions. Feel free to email me, and always, I guess, be adaptable, especially now. It's hard to realize how unheard of this like pandemic and situation is, but doing an internship remotely wasn't really something I expected to have to do. But just be adaptable, be willing to do whatever you need to do to stand out, and you should be successful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Luke. And the next person that I had on our panel is Anandini.
Hello, I'm Anandini, and I'm a senior studying data science and economics with a concentration in economics and business. I'm also a peer advisor for the data science department, so if you have any questions about the major, feel free to reach out to me. This summer, I interned at STEMaway, which hosts peer-led internships, and I specifically participated in the machine learning team. So my internship was about the field of natural language processing. And this is something that I didn't have any prior experience with, but I found the experience very informative and a really good learning experience. It was a virtual internship, of course, and my team it comprised of 15 students. And on a weekly basis, we were subdivided into smaller teams, and each week we were given a different project and different task. So since this was about natural language processing, we began with a project on web scraping. And since there was a bit of a learning curve to it, it involved a lot of kind of self-learning and doing research and familiarizing yourself with the different NLP libraries that there are out there. And I learned about this internship through Lisa's emails. Keep your eyes peeled for those because you don't know where an opportunity might lie for you. The process for getting this internship involved taking an assessment online. And again, since it was about machine learning and NLP, for the assessment itself, we had to build a movie recommendation system, which was again really, really interesting. Piece of advice that I have for anybody looking for an internship is don't be intimidated by what you don't know. I think we all have a tendency of feeling that we're not adequately prepared for an experience, and that everybody else seems to know more than we do. Don't let that hinder you, because really we're all in the same boat, and it's going to be a learning curve no matter what. But when you do need help, feel free to reach out, and hopefully you'll have mentors or peers who will be willing to help you out. Lisa, did I miss anything?
If you did miss anything, we'll come back to it. You'll get another chance to speak, I'm sure.
Great.
I'm glad to hear that all my emails actually resulted in something that turned into a great opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go on next to Ruyu. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ryu, a senior student in physics and data science. In my quantitative internship this summer, I work in risk division, and the project focused on the visualization of a given mortgage portfolio to determine the risk level of securities with different features. For example, we investigated how origination year of the loans influence the deferral rate and how deferral population is affected by the pandemics. During the workday, our teammates had a meeting to ensure that everyone is on the same page and to solve each other's questions. We also have meeting with the project managers twice a week to present our findings and to make sure our interpretation of the visualization is correct. Working remotely provides less in-person interaction, and it requires me to stay focusing for a longer time because I need to check the emails frequently. Other than that, I think there is not much difference with the usual internship. From this internship, I learned to display and convey my thoughts and findings to people with different backgrounds in an understandable way. Besides, being avid to explore new fields and asking questions is always good. Since we are required to use Tableau for data visualization during this internship, which I was fresh new to, asking questions and discussing with my managers and teammates greatly shortened the learning process. Besides, the portfolio we worked on involved mainly finance knowledge in mortgage, which I was not familiar with. So in order to have deeper dive of all data fields as well as economics context, I spent several days to do online research, read papers and ask questions. So just never stop learning and asking questions. Talking about the tips for job hunting, in my knowledge and based on my own experience, I will give 3 tips as follow. The first one is believe in yourself and be persistent. And second one is practice for the interview and do your best. And the last one I think is networking. Since I officially declared my DSC major in the first semester of my junior year, I did not have a chance to participate in Grace Hopper celebration in that year. Besides, like there are little positions open for international student in campus recruiting, I was so eager to have a quantitative related internship. So I realized like it would be better to keep trying my best instead of hesitating and waiting. With this belief in mind, fortunately, I survived in this competitive application process. For the second point, practice is pretty crucial. And you must be prepared very well for both the behavioral question as well as the technical ones. I started preparation in July last year, basically just revising my resume, doing the questions on several quantitative interview handbooks, and also practicing coding. And I keep doing so for my whole semester in fall as well in the winter break. And in this way, like I can keep myself refreshed and seize every upcoming opportunity. Finally, the network, which in my opinion was the most painstaking thing. With the advice and help from Career Center, I built up my network by linking. At the beginning, I was really shy about talking with people I haven't known about. And there were little people who would like to connect with me at that time. Thus, I started to figure out how to introduce myself and to show my passion in quantitative analytics. Gradually, I expanded my network and learned a lot from others' experience, and was never afraid of setting up cold call, and finally got referred by alumni. Since the recruiting is very competitive, it would be better if you could get referred by someone, and networking definitely gives you that chance. In addition, networking also helps you to prepare for behavior questions, since you will tell others about yourself, your story, and why you're interested in particular position. In the end, I would like to emphasize that luck also play a significant role in job hunting. So never doubt about yourself to get and never get depressed after rejection. I got many rejections before receiving offers, so just never stop and never give up. And then you will all get a nice internship. I wish you all best of luck in your academic and career paths. Thank you.
Great, thank you. There's so many good tidbits of advice in there. I really love what everybody said. Let's see, right now, why doesn't everybody turn your screen back on our panel? And for everybody, all of our attendees out there in the audience land, if you have questions, please put your question in the Q&A. Love to hear what kinds of things that you have to ask. I'm going to start out with my first question. And if we could go again in the same order, let's try it in the same order that we did during the introductions. But what is one class that you've taken at the U of R that you feel like you utilize some of those skills or knowledge during your internship?
So I think machine learning class was the most useful for me, since it was a direct application of the algorithms there into the projects. So
same for me. I would say I just audited machine learning, but that was very useful. Another was advanced computer vision, in which we had to read papers, and that was also a nice class.
I thought that Data Science 275 was the most helpful, to be honest. Time series analysis is really applicable in the business setting, and the types of programming, not the type of programming knowledge you need was really helpful.
I think any class that sort of helped me familiarize myself with Python was helpful. Data Science 240, data mining, machine learning, even Data Science 201. They were all helpful classes.
Yeah, and also I think most basically the data structure, and also just as Luke mentioned, time series analysis. I think those courses helped me a lot.
Really quickly, while we're in between questions, one of the questions was if you guys could share your LinkedIn profile links. If you want to open up the chat, if you could share it on the chat and have it sent to all panelists and attendees, that would be great.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I think pretty much everybody on the panel said that networking was super important, and it's not just what you know, and it's sometimes who you know, and having connections, and you know, whether it's an email from me or a connection on somebody from LinkedIn, or somebody that you knew from back in school, you know, in high school even, you know, you have friends all around, and those connections are going to help you. Alumni too. Alumni connections are also important, and that's why I really love that all of you are speaking to some of your peers, and hopefully you'll continue to come back and visit when you're graduates of our program and share your stories on your future career paths. So keep on typing your questions in the chat, or sorry, not in the chat. Please put them in Q&A. That would be the best place for us to see your questions. Another question I had, actually, let's talk a little bit about rejections, which is something that you brought up. And I know that Luke, you know, you had you didn't get your job right away. So if Luke, why don't you start out and share a little bit about, because I think, you know, your job didn't come to you right away and you did have a few rejections along the way.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually started applying for internships before last fall. I applied to a lot of different places throughout the last fall, but I actually interviewed. I participated in a super day at Bank of America in Charlotte, and I also had a few interviews with a few other finance and tech related companies like Credit Suisse. But like just like, I guess it's difficult at first once you start getting rejections, because each rejection you get, it kind of feels like your last option. It feels like it's not going to work out. But I guess the advice I'd give you is just stick with it. Like, something will work out in the end, especially if you're putting yourself out there, applying to places, trying to connect with people. And essentially each time I got a rejection, I get stressed out and try to apply to a few more places and try to reevaluate where I wanted to end up. Well, last summer. Well, ultimately, what you just stick with it, because if you keep applying places and keep connecting with new people, something will work out in the end. And the more rejections you get from places, the more comfortable you become with it, and it becomes easier. And when you finally get something, it kind of makes it all worth it. So just stick with it, and know that each place has a lot of people applying to it. So even if you don't get a spot, you're competing with a lot of really talented people, and there will be there's going to be a spot at a company or in a program that's right for you, that you'll find a place in.
Just a little bit more in that, because, you know, you didn't get rejected right away from certain things. You actually went into, I think, a few interviews,
mm-hmm.
right? And a little bit into the process, you know, of a typical job candidate. So can you talk a little bit more about, I mean, I guess you would have had, you know, each experience brings you a little bit more practice and a little bit more comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Interviews are tough for me, especially it's just hard you want to communicate, put your best foot forward and communicate where your interests lie, what your skills are, and that's not always the easiest in the interview sense. But I found that each interview got easier. Like when I participated in the Super Day with Bank of America, and that was pretty intense. Like you're flying, they flew me to Charlotte, and it was a Super Day, so there was about, I think, 150 people there interviewing. So there was a ton of people interviewing, and you could see it was like you were staring your competition in the face, kind of. But what I found is that you just have to try to put your best foot forward and understand that even if you struggle on your first few interviews, that it only gets easier each time, because you start to understand more of how you want to communicate your skills and interests, and you become more comfortable in that setting, because you kind of realize that, at least what I realized, the more I interviewed, is that it's more, it should be more like a conversation. It's definitely stressful and it can be intense with the person you're interviewing with, because you're not sure how they feel about your experiences and your knowledge. But just putting your best foot forward and trying to connect with them on a personal level really helps.
Thanks. And Ruyu, if you can also talk, you were the one who brought up about rejection. So if you could share a little bit more about that path.
Yeah, so for the rejections, it's like, for me, it's not only like after the interviews, like it also, the rejections also come from when I network with someone, like they just do not like really care about who you are, and they just do not care. But I think that time, like just as Luke said, just stick with it, and during this process, you will also like find like which kind of position you really want to do, and what what you really want to do. I mean, just show your passions and enthusiasm during this process. And as you talk to like more people, even though like they do not offer you help, but you can also like learn from their experience. And also they may also give some tips about how to communicate with others. And besides, I also do some research about networking online, saying there are some tips for sending the cold emails. I think this also helps when you trying to network. And also if someone say, okay, you have a nice message, then they may just connect with you and then just talk about yourself and things will work out. And for the rejections, I first like I got interview for I think it's the higher view, something like that, and also there are some mental arithmetic tests before the super day. It's like the online assessment, something like that. Like it requires a lot of practice, and I actually get rejected after several online assessment, and I get very disappointed because I spend a lot of time to practice math, probability, and coding. So I guess just keep doing that, because sometimes you do not know like which person the company wants, but what you can do is just do your best and trying to find what you really like, and then you just stick to like keep practicing, and then I think you will be good. Yeah.
Thanks. Any of our other panelists have any want to talk about their rejections? If you had any rejections along the way?
Yeah, I just want to add, like, sometimes you just get rejected by a algorithm which basically segregates your resume. So I don't think rejections are serious. Like now, if a company rejects me, I don't even think about it, because you just get used to it, and you never know why they rejected you. That position got froze, or many things can happen. So that's not exactly that they are rejecting you, but there can be many other things also.
That's a great point. Excellent. Something, actually, if we can go down the list again, or down the panel again, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about your interview process. And I think, Luke already talked a little bit about some of the things that went on the interview process, and so you did review, but, depending on the size of a company, there's, sometimes you get sorted out early on by somebody in HR, and then you go more into a technical interview with another team. Let's start with Surya. Can you tell us a little bit more about your interview process?
Yeah, sure. So I had 2 interviews. So I had applied for a lot of companies, and most companies had an assessment first, like they had a coding test, kind of test using HackerRank or something like that. And based on that, they filter out candidates and they go for technical interview. So I had one assessment first, and then the next was a 1-hour technical interview with the data science lead in the team. It was mostly like a resume based, like they asked questions regarding my projects which I had done, and then next they moved on to coding questions and stuff like that, and algorithms in data science. After clearing the round, I had an HR round where they asked me why I want to work here and more behavioral set of questions. And based on that, I got the offer for this specific company, but it might be very variable for different companies. I hope that helps.
Thanks. Purvanchi, can you tell us a little bit more about the interview process for you?
Sure, yeah. So most of the companies I interviewed with had a coding round first. Some companies, they also check like how good you define classes and basically the structure of your code also. For one company, I had to write like a small software piece, and they gave me 2 days for it. So that also happens. It was a bit mathematical, so they sometimes check your analytical knowledge as well as coding knowledge together. And then the second rounds mostly were machine learning or questions related to your project, and also behavioral rounds. So one thing is all these questions which we usually ignore, like behavioral rounds, these are really important for the companies. So we can actually read a lot about the companies of what they want as the answer. So I recently interviewed with Goldman Sachs, and what I answered for them would be very different from what I'll answer for a company like Google or Amazon. So company research is important.
Right, right. No, not all, everybody's different, and you got to find the connections that you have with that company. And so researching company, that's an excellent point. And then Denis, did you have any more comments about the interview process or how it went for you?
Sure. So I didn't have an interview process per se. It was more of a resume check and then an online assessment in which we were asked to build a movie recommendation system in Python. So that was more of a coding sort of assessment. It took some research and definitely refining your algorithm and then comparing accuracy. But yeah, that's about it. No interview per se.
Do you happen to know, is STEMaway still taking people for during the semester? Or is it just a summertime opportunity?
So they have 2 internships in the summer, and then I believe they have one in the winter as well, but not during the semester.
Okay, that's great to know. So possibilities over the winter break. And if you didn't hear already, spring semester this year is starting February 1st, right? So I just saw something on the calendar. So there's actually a few extra weeks for the winter break. So that might be a little bit longer of a time for people to get some sort of experiences. And that might be a good one.
Right,
so
and STEMaway is just, I was just going to say STEMaway hosts a 4-week internship. So it's pretty short, so you can fit it in easily.
Great. Okay. There is a question here. It's not directed to anybody, but how much of the application interview process is focused on the technical skills versus other factors? Could any of you answer that question? How much of the application or interview process is focused on the technical skills versus other factors, soft skills or such?
So for me, most of my interviews were technical, and like there was 2 to 3 technical rounds and 1 non-technical round. So most of the interviews were technical for me. Like for a data science position, it was technical, and this HR round, which is mostly getting to know more about you and what you are interested in. So.
Yeah, I'd say most of my interviews were pretty technical. Not necessarily in the sense that they're asking you questions that you have to solve the entire time, but they're always looking to understand your like programming background and your educational background more, the types of experiences you have with that. Because if you're working in a program, and it also depends on the program you're applying to, but if you're applying to a more technical program, they really need to see that you have the skills you need to be able to complete the internship successfully.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I mean, if it's something, if it's for something like software engineering or data science or quantitative research, it's going to be very technical. But if it's something like project management, then they probably want to see your leadership skills and whether you've led sort of some team project.
Yeah, I'll just add, just being able to explain like the projects you've done is a big thing. Like if you've done them, maybe you've kind of forgot about them or forgot what you did exactly, just refreshing on what the prompts were for the different projects you've done and how you approach them. is something they're definitely going to ask about in pretty much any interview.
That's a great thing to point out. People need to remember that the projects that you do in your classes are experiences that you can put on your resume, that you can talk about in an interview. Many of the classes that you've taken have little projects along the way. You can also get project experience by participating in hackathons, being part of, say, like the data science undergraduate council, and I know they do different projects together. Anybody else have any tips on how to get more project experience on your resume to talk about?
I just wanted to add that a lot of companies actually like it if you do a personal project. If you go out of your way and take the initiative to do something and then have it on your resume or your GitHub, as opposed to doing something just for classwork, because that's something that a lot more students do and is going to be much more common.
Great. Yeah, get a GitHub account and put your personal projects on there. Can we go down the list, the panel again? And the question is about soft skills. We just talked about a little bit about the technical skills, but what kind of soft skills did you find that were really important in working in industry, working in your environment? And because as we know, it's not just about what you learn technically in class, it's other things that you've learned across many aspects of college or your life that can help out in a job. So Surya, can you start?
Yeah, sure. So I worked in the virtual environment. So one of the things I felt is the most important is communicating well. So, and data science is all about communicating your results to other people. And like, it has to be in a very smooth way where like you are working on a technical stuff and they may not understand, the audience may not understand what you're working on. So you need to be very clear and concise in what you're trying to show them, and like, such that they understand what you have done. So one of the main things I think is communication, like in this field also, like in current environment also, most of the people are working virtually and remotely. So communication is one of the most important things right now, and we should develop it, I think.
Great, yeah, both written and verbal communications and remote communication.
Yep.
Using all of our Zoom skills that we learned during the fall or the spring semester. Pravanshi, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but just to add, when you're within a company or even when you're outside, it's very important to form lasting connections. By lasting, I mean you just not talk technical stuff, but also maybe go for we had these virtual coffee sessions where you talk about non-technical stuff. So I felt that is a good way of making people remember you so that they can be, helpful in the far future also.
Great.
Yeah, I also found that a lot of times during interviews when they're asking you questions, they're not only just asking for you to show them what you've done, but they're also looking at how you explain it, because that really tells a lot about your understanding of the different types of projects and experiences that you've had. But outside that, I guess just remember that when you're interviewing or applying places or connecting with people, they're looking. They're not necessarily just looking for like a business partner or anything like that. They're looking for like a friendly connection, someone that's personable. And if you're interviewing with them, they're looking for someone that they'd want to work with. So if you're friendly and outgoing and nice, those are all great things that they'd probably remember you for.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said so far. And especially going beyond having those technical and solely work-related conversations, because at the end of the day, people are much more likely to help you out when they connect with you on a more personal level, and they're willing to go the extra mile for you.
Yeah, and also maybe always be open to questions. For example, like in my internship, like our teammates, they're from different background, and we may have different understanding to same questions. So just always open to others' questions and like clearly like explain your ideas to others, and then you will have a better view of the work you're doing. Yeah.
Great. You know, sometimes these positions, I'm going to change the topic a little bit, your positions might turn out to come into a longer lasting relationship. And have any of you been able to capitalize on this moment? And did you get an offer yet? Or do you think that there's an offer for future work once you graduate?
I did build good connections with the teammates. Like we're all having on good terms right now. But the only issue is like the company didn't have the budget due to coronavirus, which is the only reason they haven't hired me yet. But still, I'm maintaining good contact with them. Like it's important that after the internship, it's important to keep in touch with them. Like I think that's one of the things which people tend to not do, which I have not done in my former internships. So which is, I think it's important to be in good connections with them and learn more about what they have done right now, how far as your project helped them or not. Those things are kind of useful.
That's good, because they might hear about something else from a different company and they can say, oh yeah, I remember this guy that I worked with, he would be really great. Might be a nice fit.
So for me, it's kind of the same. Like I'm still actually working, but my team doesn't hire master students. They just hire PhD students for my position. So I knew this before even giving my first interview. So I knew that this is just going to be an internship experience and not convertible to a full-time position.
Great. Anybody else have anything to say about that, about future with that company or any other opportunities?
Sure. Because Cadence a little bit on the smaller side, they don't have like a structured like post-internship offer like system going. But essentially what I took away from the internship was the connections I made with my manager, with my teammates, along with all the other interns. And what you can do with those really is just, you want to stay connected, because everyone you know knows a bunch of other people at other companies in the industry. So if you have a connection, you can not only use them to connect with them and try see where positions are available at the company you interned at, but also at a number of other companies in the field. So that's where the real benefits are to making these new connections.
One other thing that came up in this discussion was never stop learning or never be afraid to ask a question. So if anybody can go a little bit further on with that, let's go backwards this time. We'll start with you, Ryu, because I remember you saying this, never stop learning, because you came into this without a background in, you said I think you're in physics. And so being in the banking world and the financial world was a little bit different for you.
The reason like why I kind of get interested in the quantitative finance field is because like I think in my sophomore year, I helped my friend like to prepare for his interview. So I kind of know like the interview question and what kind of the thing they will do during the internship. So predict, and I'm really interested in doing some predictive model, because in physics, we also do the data analysis, and then we want to show, okay, whether this equation makes sense by doing experiments. And actually, it's just solving problem and also do data analysis and to strengthen your point. So I guess like the main point is very similar. So I think, okay, why just trying to do quantitative finance, and it is really interesting. So I just start to take some financial math course, and also I take more computer science courses to strengthen my coding skills. And in this way, like I just find, okay, I'm very interested in it, and it allows me to apply my knowledge in practice field. So, which makes me very happy. So, like in this way, I just declare my majors in data science, and for my internship, like because just I said, like we use the Tableau to do the data visualization, but I never like learned this before, so just I have to learn it in a very short time. And I think my experience in physics and kind of do double major in data science helped me to be more comfortable in learning new stuffs. And I also notice, like when I'm learning something, I get out of my comfortable zone. Sometimes it's really get disappointed when I didn't like do things very well. But I think it's fine because you're studying new stuff, and you should be patient to yourself, and then and you also know, like, this is thing you're really interested in. So with this passion, and you just spare no effort, and then you just stick with it, and then you will finally succeed. Yeah.
Great. Actually, we're running a little short on time, so I'm not going to have everybody else answer that question. But I do want to remind everybody who's joined us today, here's the contact information for each of our panelists if you do want to follow up with them, and also that they did share their LinkedIn profile in the chat, so you can also connect with them. You guys gave some really, really great tips and shared the real life story of what the scary internship can sometimes be. I really appreciate everybody sharing today. And I'm sure there's more of you out there who probably did a summer internship, and if there is, and you want to share a little bit with your peers, I'd love to feature you on a future event. I do want to remind people that one of the reasons why I'm doing this is there's, you know, that many companies are searching for interns. Some of these bigger companies are searching for interns right now for next summer. So the Green Center is actually having their Fall Career Expo. This year it will be in the virtual format. And it is on Thursday, September 24th from 3 to 6 p.m. So this is a great opportunity to get a jump start now. Start getting your resumes in order. Start getting your start your searches now. It may take a long time, but you may secure something earlier than later. So get a jump start on it now. I also want to remind people some of the faces that are really key for our data science students. If you haven't already joined Handshake, I hope that you are, but also the Emerging Technologies career community is, they will try to segment some more information for the data science majors, so, you know, so that you're getting the right kinds of information. These are three of the staff members who are mostly connected with the data science program. David and Laura work a lot with our undergraduates, and Alyssa is somebody who works a little bit more with our graduate students. But you're welcome to visit with anybody in the Career Center. So utilize the resources that the Green Center has to offer, Handshake has to offer, and the upcoming career fair. And that is the end of today. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And please reach out to us if you have any questions.